He was one of the most misunderstood players in the league during his time with the Cowboys. His path to the NFL was unlikely. Although he never had anything handed to him, somehow Fairweather fans deemed him entitled due to his romantic relationships with some high-profile celebrities. However, those who truly know Romo's story know that he was a warrior who always prioritized winning and improving above all else. This is the real story of Tony Romo. Antonio Ramiro Romo was born on April 21, 1980 in San Diego, California. He moved with his family to Burlington, Wisconsin, where he would spend his childhood. Growing up in a small and tight-knit community gave Romo the advantage of having a real support system. He practiced with a genuine love for the game and had work ethic well beyond his years. In high school, Romo started as a three-sport athlete, playing football, basketball, and baseball. In fact, his favorite sport was basketball, where he stood out on the court as a tremendous playmaking point guard. But Tony's father, Ramiro Romo, gave his son a reality check with some tough love. He warned Tony that his chances of becoming a professional basketball player were very slim. Although Tony had the drive, he was short by basketball standards and was too slow to play point guard at a high level. Ramiro suggested that Tony focus solely on playing football to give himself a better chance at a pro career. Tony followed suit. He had a lot of respect for his father, who served in the Navy. Ramiro was willing to be brutally honest with his son, but Tony knew that his dad's heart was always in the right place. Even after dedicating himself to football, recruiters weren't exactly lining up to offer him a scholarship. In fact, no major programs had any interest in Romo coming out of high school. Instead, Tony Romo's path led him to Eastern Illinois University, where he played college football for the Eastern Illinois Panthers. In his freshman year, Romo didn't get a single snap. At the end of the season, his head coach discussed the possibility of switching him from quarterback to tight end. Romo pleaded that he would improve his skills in the offseason and come back a better quarterback. If the improvements weren't obvious after a year, he'd willingly switch positions. Tony worked day in and day out to improve. When he returned for his sophomore season, he was a new man, and the coaching staff gave him the starting quarterback job. From there, he set numerous school records and showcased his immense potential. He threw for over 3,800 yards and 34 touchdowns during his senior year, earning him the coveted Walter Payton Award, which is presented to the top player in the Division I football championship subdivision. At this point in his life, Romo was already a meticulous student of the game. He knew that at this point in his life, he wasn't the most talented thrower in his draft class. First-round lottery picks Carson Palmer and Byron Leftwich were more advanced than him at that point in his career. But he believed in himself and his trajectory to gain a selection in the 2003 NFL Draft. His family believed in him too and threw a big party in Burlington to watch the draft so they could hear Tony's name get called. That didn't happen. Romo felt like he'd let the city down. He recalled feeling embarrassed at his own party, but he wasn't ready to give up. After the draft, two teams were competing for his services as an undrafted free agent, the Broncos and the Cowboys. And even though the Broncos were offering him slightly more guaranteed money, Romo opted to sign a deal with the Cowboys where he saw more opportunity. Tony Romo's NFL journey began as an undrafted free agent in 2003 when he signed with the Dallas Cowboys. At the time, Sean Payton was the team's quarterback coach and Bill Parcells was the head coach of the squad. Clearly, they saw enough potential in Romo to keep him around, but his mechanics were extremely raw, and they had him buried way down in the depth chart. In fact, Romo spent 3 full seasons in the Cowboys system without getting a sniff of playing time. The stress of it all would be enough to crush the spirits of most young players, but not Romo. Every day, Tony would show up to the field with an infectiously positive attitude and an obsession for the game. In his heart, he knew that one day his opportunity would come and that he wanted to do everything in his power to take full advantage of it. Romo served as a backup quarterback, learning the nuances of the game from veterans Vinny Testaverde and Drew Bledsoe. In 2006, Parcells gave Romo his first real look in the preseason opener against the Seahawks. Romo knew that he needed to take some risks in order to show off his capabilities. Playing mistake-free football wouldn't be enough to earn him the job, so he came out like a hot firing gun and played one hell of a game. His play in the 2006 preseason was enough to earn him the backup job to Drew Bledsoe entering the year. Midway through the season, Bledsoe was having a rough game and the team looked out of gas. Parcells made the decision to throw Romo into the game for his first regular season action. Romo didn't exactly step on the field and dominate. His first pass of his career was picked off by a Giants defender. Romo went on to throw 3 interceptions and 2 touchdown passes in a 36-22 loss to New York. But Parcells, who'd been watching him develop for years, wanted to give him a fair shot. So he let him continue as the starter, turning out to be a decision that he wouldn't regret. Romo's dynamic playing style, powerful arm, and innate ability to read defense immediately caught the attention of Cowboys fans and the entire NFL. His risky playing style and joyous personality made him an instant fan favorite. After his first game, Dallas won 5 of their next 6 games. During that time, Romo led all NFL quarterbacks with a 102.4 passer rating and had completed nearly 70% of his passes. The Cowboys finished the season with a 9-7 record, and many thought that Romo was destined for Super Bowl greatness. Dallas hadn't had a quarterback dominate like this since the Aikman era. The Cowboys matched up against the Seahawks in the wildcard matchup and looked to have a great opportunity to win. All they needed to do was punch in a 19-yard field goal with just over a minute left to take the lead. But Tony Romo, of all people, was the place kick holder and he bobbled the snap, then got tackled just short of the goal line. The Cowboys ended up losing a devastating game by 1 point and were eliminated from contention. While the Cowboys' playoff run that year ended in disappointment, Romo's arrival marked the beginning of a new era in Dallas. The following seasons, Romo continued to improve and provide the Cowboys with stellar quarterback play. In 2007, he threw for 4,211 yards and 36 touchdowns in his first full year as a starter. Jerry Jones rewarded him with a massive 6-year, $67.5 million contract extension. During the season, Romo gained celebrity status. He began dating music star Jessica Simpson and wasn't only making sports headlines, but also became a prominent figure in pop culture. The Cowboys finished the season with a 13-3 record, and were poised to make a deep playoff run. But in the break leading up to their first-round matchup, Romo, along with Jessica Simpson and a few other players on the team, took a vacation to Cabo San Lucas, Mexico. Romo was never one to slack off or not prioritize his play. He saw the trip as a team bonding experience and continued to practice relentlessly while in Cabo. But when paparazzi released photos of the couple relaxing by the pool only shortly before the crucial game, fans ripped Romo apart and doubted his dedication. The team ended up losing their game against the Giants, and Romo's reputation was tarnished. Fans were beginning to view him as more of a pop star than a leader, and Romo admitted that in retrospect, the trip was a bad decision due to the Romo continued to show poise and take accountability for the team's inability to win when it mattered most. All Romo was focused on was continuing to improve in pursuit of a Super Bowl. The 2009 season was an exceptional year for Romo as he led the NFC in passing yards. He even won his first playoff game before, once again, falling short before the Super Bowl. Then injuries took their toll. He suffered a broken collarbone, sidelining him for a portion of the 2010 season. Romo's resilience persisted as he made a triumphant return in 2011. In the 2012 season, he surpassed 4,000 passing yards and set franchise records for pass attempts and 300-yard passing game. Romo continued to deliver in 2013 with a record-setting performance that saw him throw for 506 yards against the Denver Broncos. He battled through gruesome injuries along the way while competing at a high level. He never stopped his determination to win and improve. But the team failed to make the playoffs for 5 consecutive seasons. Jerry Jones still rewarded Romo with a 6-year contract extension, this time worth $108 million. Not bad for a small-town kid from Wisconsin. Romo had possibly the best season of his career in 2014 when he led the NFL in passer rating and received second-team All-Pro honor. In a critical game against the Indianapolis Colts that year, he completed an astonishing 90% of his passes, demonstrating the incredible progress he'd made as a quarterback. If you asked Romo, he was finally making the throws that he always dreamt of making during the early stages of his career. But it wasn't enough to reach his ultimate goal. The Cowboys once again fell short in the playoffs, this time due to a controversial no-catch call against the Green Bay Packers on a late-game throw to Dez Bryant. 2015 was another injury-plagued season for Romo, despite playing at a high level when he was on the field. Then in 2016, Tony Romo once again broke his collarbone in a Week 2 matchup against the Eagles. Rookie quarterback Dak Prescott stepped in and ran with the job. The Cowboys were on an 8-game winning streak and had all the momentum in the world by the time Romo was healthy enough to play again in Week 11. Fans were eager to hear what the coaching staff had in store for the quarterback position, but Romo made the decision easy. He made a heartfelt speech acknowledging Dak's spectacular play and expressing gratitude for the opportunities and relationships he received during his time in Dallas. He vowed to be a positive influence on Dak as he handed the keys to the city to his successor. Following the season, Romo announced his retirement from the NFL. He'd broken just about every Cowboys passing record during his time. His retirement was extremely bittersweet, since he never reached his ultimate goal of winning a Super Bowl. But even after retirement, it didn't take long before Romo's obsession with football brought him back in the spotlight. During his first game as an analyst, commentating for CBS, Twitter erupted. Fans fell in love with his enthusiasm and insights that were unparalleled on television. CBS rewarded him for his genius commentary in 2020 with a 10-year contract worth $17 million per season. Now, Romo often shares his perspectives as a former quarterback with fans watching the game across the country, giving educational and fun-loving broadcasts every week. It's possible that his legacy as a broadcaster one day surpasses his stardom of his playing day. Either way, don't be fooled. Romo was never a diva. He was never a pop star. Tony Romo was one of the gutsiest and entertaining quarterbacks of his era. It's just too bad he seemed to falter for one reason or another when it mattered most.